So who better than to talk about this than America's accountant to go through the numbers with me? That's Dan Geltrude. Please welcome Dan to the show. Thank you very much, sir. All right, you heard all the numbers, Dan. Am I wrong? I mean, I know I don't want to be political about it, and I don't want to take away what you see on the screen every day. It's horrible. But at some point in time, enough is enough.
It is, Scott. So again, if we keep politics and emotion out of this, anytime you're spending money, I don't care if it's me, you, or the U.S. government, everything comes down to this. What's the return on investment? Right. So anytime you're going to buy something, what are you getting in return? In this particular case, we're talking about spending $33 billion with Ukraine. Off the top of my head, I'm not like, no way. But what I am saying here is, if we're going to spend $33 billion, what is the outcome we expect to achieve? What are we going to tell the American people to say, listen, we're going to spend $33 billion, but here's our expected return? Those discussions never happen. And that's why I have a problem with saying, okay, $33 billion to Ukraine, no problem. We could always print more if we need it.
And isn't this how these things start? I mean, we're talking about it today, but in 2025, 2028, 2030, we're still talking about these types of things. And that's really what I'm worried about, that slippery slope that we're going to continue to spend more and more money. And maybe there's not a winnable path for the Ukraine. Maybe there is. I don't know. I'm not a military expert. But all I know is that, you know what, I've got a British passport, right? The EU, they've got 400 million people. We've got 330 million. Our economies are roughly similar, right? We're just a little bit larger. There's $21 trillion economy there. I mean, how come they're not ponying up like we are, and they're right next to them?
Well, they should be ponying up. Look, this has far more impact on Europe than it does the United States. But I'm not saying it's not important here, Scott. It is important. But like everything else, how do we prioritize our spending? And I just want to tell you something else. We've been talking a lot about interest rates going up. So if we're going to print, in other words, another $33 billion, well, you know what? That's going to get more and more and more expensive as we have to pay it back. So we really have to look at everything with great circumspect as to how we are going to be spending our money. This $33 billion is going to be sold to the American people emotionally. Look, there's terrible things going on over there. Absolutely. Let's spend $33 billion. Okay, let's do it. Nobody's feeling the pain. That's the problem.
Okay, so you're an accountant. You're the numbers guy. You just brought it up, interest rates. I was shocked at yesterday's number, that minus 1.4% GDP. How shocked were you? What's that going to do to the Fed going forward?
Well, listen, was I shocked? You know, I don't know if we could be shocked by anything these days, Scott. But look, what it does tell us is this. Things are not going exactly in the right direction here. So again, I go back to this point. How is this administration prioritizing what it's doing? Are we going to start paying attention, I mean, really close attention to the economy and inflation? Or are we going to be concerned about what pronouns we're using? And the problem is that the Biden administration may be prioritizing things, but they're the wrong priorities. Look, when we're talking about inflation, which to me is the greatest threat that we're facing right now economically, well, how are we going to deal with that? I do not see any policy change that's going to help. I see a lot more, let's spend more money and increase demand. I don't see a lot of discussion about we have a supply issue, not to mention what's going on in China, which is only going to create a bigger supply problem for us.
Well, and you know what? Again, that was 3 months ago, going through the grocery store. Hey, that empty shelf, how long is it going to take them to restock it, right? And that was what we were all playing that game, 1 week, 2 week, but it got restocked. Now, with what's happening in China, 222 ships, not import, trying to unload. The questions now from some really smart, economists we've had on the show, hey, you know what? Those things might not ever get restocked. And so that's an issue. And so also those same people are telling me that they're going to raise interest rates until something breaks. And maybe that's the stock market. I don't know how you break the economy. Maybe that's the recession. But are you in that camp that they're going to have to slow down here, or at least something's going to break before they get to where they want to be?
Well, I do think that they should slow it down. Look, the Fed has been late to this party, and they're only making it worse. Think about it. Now we're going to start increasing interest rates. It doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense. Do I think they'll continue on that path? Yes. Do I think it's going to lead to a recession? I think we got a pretty good shot at it, unless some politicians start to wake up and say, look, specifically the Democrats, we're going to get wiped out in these elections in 22 and in 24 unless we change policy. We're seeing a little bit of that, Scott, but certainly not enough.
Right. Well, tongue in cheek, I've been saying, Dan, maybe we're in the middle of a recession and we didn't even know it. I said it all last week, and then I got that number yesterday. I'm like, hey, I think I was right the first time in my entire life. But I really appreciate you being on the show. Dan Geltrude, he's coming to us from New Jersey. Thanks very much for all your content. Dan, all right.